Good morning. Happy New Year. Happy kind of foggy New Year. The blue lines you see on the trees, again, I've said in previous videos, this is a area where you've had, like in the Nutmeg State, we call this a timber harvest. It's basically logging. And today we're going to kind of do an addendum to yesterday's video. Kind of a short. I'm not going to call it a video. I'm going to call it a short. Got out of the house for the day because it's New Year's. It's usually a quiet day, so what better thing to do than just get out in the woods. And I'm going to share some thoughts. Yesterday I promised New Year's resolutions. I never got there. So we picked that up this morning. Conditions today, January 1st, we're batting about 49 degrees, which is actually quite pleasant. The rain got over itself, and we're doing like a fog thing. Given the level of fog, short story from yesterday, put the drone in the air for an intro, and the low-hanging mountain fog got the drone at about 230-something feet. And the first thing it does, as I've mentioned before also, the GPS sensor gives up. So as I'm bringing the drone down, it didn't want to land because not having the GPS lock, it didn't know where the ground was. As funny as that is. And this is any drone, not just like a cheap one. This is a DJI drone, so, you know, higher end as drones go. And so if you hit, the trick to that if you're a droner is hit return to home, and then it goes to your home point, and then it kind of figures it out and gets over it. Moving on. New Year's resolutions. From lessons from 2 weeks ago. At least once a month, check your pack. Review your inventory. You should do it seasonally anyway, because you don't need winter shit in summer. You don't need summer shit in winter. Also, given that winter in the last 2 years in this area has been fairly quiet, I am going to probably try to get back into some more bushcrafty stuff as well as the squatching thing. And in the warmer months, probably fishing as well. I don't know if I'm going to make a full fishing video, but I might include it in my weekend repertoire if I go out a few times during the summer. As I said yesterday, I tend to know more spots in Vermont than I do in Connecticut, so there's that factor to bear in mind. So, New Year's resolutions. Review the pack on a monthly basis. I am doing a detox of various things in my diet until the end of February, minimal, as a resolution. I am going to return to a not full vegetarian, but a semi-vegetarian thing where I do that, chicken and fish. I don't foresee myself ever being a full-on vegan. Mainly just because of the obnoxious pricks they tend to turn into when they get all condescending in their diet. I don't mind if you guys eat healthy, but when you rub it in everybody else's faces, all you're doing is annoying people. You're not ambassadors for the message at that point. What else? I guess that's it for now. I'm going to focus on some work-related things during the winter, too, because that's the time to do that. What else? Upgrade some of my camera gear. Some things are still 1080p, and they could be 4K. And beyond that, a question for the community moving back into the Squatch realm. Based on events of last week, here's a question, and I'm going to post this on Facebook too. If a person is caught in a hoax, and they admit to the hoax, even if they apologize for the hoax, based on the actions of a person I know of in the community who's never really been my favorite, this happened within the last 3 weeks. Does that person ever get fair consideration for credibility ever again. There are those in the community I know of that are old school that once that line is crossed, you're basically done. I have a hard time disagreeing with that on some levels because, you were willing to do it the first time. This is a person, I'm not going to mention their name because they're not worth they don't deserve the attention, but this is a person who called into a podcast and towards the end of the show kind of took over the podcast in a weird and kind of really odd way and told a fake story about Bigfoot succumbing to COVID or something to that effect. And the amount of conjecture that's involved in this, where do you even begin? I mean, granted, it's plausible because we've already established that white-tailed deer can get COVID, although I don't know if to this date they found any potential crossover to humans. But plausible, because, I mean, a lot of these nastier diseases have come from animals and found their way into the human gene pool. But he's basically, I mean, to be blunt, the little bastard was talking out of his ass. I'm not going to even be nice to him. He's been less than nice to me in the past, so there's no reason for diplomacy here. He is talking out of his derriere. And even in the comments of the video on YouTube for the podcast, he basically took some flack and later admitted to the hoax. And then he apologizes, and all the people in a skeptical group that he hangs out with / kiss his ass to, they're acting forgiving towards him. And of course, he's going to slide back into their good graces. But again, you admitted to a hoax. Do you get credit after that? I'm going to leave this short on that philosophical question and move back into my headspace out here in the woods and the foggy goodness that this is, because I do like being out in the woods. So you could hear a pin drop right now other than me yapping. And as far as I know, have the place to myself, and I like that. So Happy New Year, and I'm going to round this one out here. It's probably where I would have ended it yesterday, but we obviously didn't get there, so we're doing that today. Enjoy the new year, and as I posted on Facebook yesterday, may 2022 suck less than 21 and 20 because the bar hasn't really been set that high given COVID and all that. Have a good day, folks.